This is Things You Might Not Have Heard. I am Jacob Payne, and for you today, we're going to give you 8 stories queued up from yesterday that we deemed as conversational. You told us that we're and vetted them as stories worthy of talking about. They cover current events, pop culture, information, and politics news. And we've got some pretty heavy ones today. We're dealing with the Wisconsin school shooting, also with the New Jersey drones are still in the news, and Michelob Ultra, which is not quite as heavy, if you will, on purpose. But those 3 plus 5 other stories to get you through an update for today. Now, the vetting process will explain in a bit, but first, let's get through the headlines, let you see how they go with that, and of course, give you an idea how you can know more about us. Go to our website. This is theconversationproject.com. It saves me some conversation telling you about us, and you can learn all about us and see all the calls to actions, things we will ask you to do here and there. Also, email us at theconversationinbox@gmail.com for any comments, any concerns, any gripes and complaints you want to send to us anytime you want to. If I've not said it so far, I don't think I did today. It's Tuesday, 17th of December, 2024. I've not said yet that it is 8 days till Christmas. So you are on the stick. Don't mess this up. Assuming it's 7 days because, you're not going to get much out of Christmas Day if you got to buy something. Get those gifts in right now before Amazon gets a little too busy. First headline off the bat, we're going to take this quickly because it's the story that's overtaken everything as of yesterday evening. Wisconsin school shooter identified as 17-year-old female student. In a tragic incident that unfolded yesterday at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, Wisconsin, a 15-year-old female student is identified as Natalie Rupnow, and she opened fire on the school, resulting in the death of a teacher and a fellow student. The shooter then died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. 6 others were injured, with 2 right now in critical condition as of this writing here. The motive behind the shooting remains under investigation. Authorities responded fairly swiftly to the 911 call, and the community is now grappling with the aftermath of the devastating event. One of the surreal things coming from the press conference, and there were 4 total press conferences, I believe, throughout the day for updates, was the chief of police stating how both paramedics and police officers were working on active shooting drills. In fact, the police were working on it that afternoon right down the street when the call came in. So the actual exercise became an exercise that actually came to fruition. They hit the scene fairly quickly and took coverage of the situation. There was some fog in communication where the numbers of wounded and dead changed from 2 to 4 for a few hours and back down to 2 once they sort of figured out what was going on and how things are going. 2 people are still fighting for their lives, at least listing by the article here. But it was a sad, tragic event. We don't know more details. We don't know full details. No motive right now to really go into. So as this thing unfolds, we will keep you engaged with it, and you keep engaging with it. Particularly, we'll keep talking about it here for our programming. We're still talking about Donald Trump and his hush money trial because it apparently ain't over. We said that once he becomes president, these things sort of go away. Also, on top of that, he got that immunity ruling by the Supreme Court, which helps things go away. But in New York City, the hush money case, not quite going away so fast, as the judge rejects the court immunity argument for this particular case. This being Juan Merchan, the New York judge has denied President-elect Donald Trump's request to overturn his conviction related to the hush money payments made during his 2016 presidential campaign, because Merchan says, even though the Supreme Court says that presidential stuff is free from any cause to get you in trouble, this was done outside of presidential stuff, not official presidential duty. Running for president is not official presidential duty, and paying people off so information does not get out there, not official. It's not running Ukraine or anything like that. Back in May, he was convicted, Donald Trump, 34 felony counts for falsifying business records to conceal payments to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. His team is trying to get this thing pushed away. Supreme Court said, sure, he's granted immunity for official acts. Judge Merchan says, this is not an official act. This is personal. So this is where we have it. As a result, the conviction stands. His actual sentencing is going to be pushed back for quite a bit. And in fact, essentially, since he's president, and they probably won't have a chance to deal with it anyway, it's going to essentially go away like the other things will go away. He has convictions on the records. He just doesn't have the finalization of what actually comes about from the actual sentencing. They could easily put a some sort of time served, which there wasn't time served. They can suspend the sentence and have it there, just have it living there on the books just as something that happened, but he got no actual jail time or punishment. He just has to pay a bunch of money to a bunch of people, which he's still on the hook for that. That's going to happen. But right now, as far as this hush money case is concerned, although he has 34 felony conviction counts, no jail time is going to come because just ain't got time for that. Let's go back to New Jersey. Actually, we've never technically left New Jersey, but the drone stuff, it's getting odder. The biggest issue is they can't find anything. In fact, Governor Phil Murphy asked for some responses, and he got it. He got the drone response units, the units that actually keep an eye on drones, detect what activity is going on there. And even though there have been sightings since mid-November, Governor Murphy is reporting, not to his happiness, that there is little to no evidence of wrongdoing in these things. That's the information he's getting so far with this drone detection technology out there. Federal and state authorities are in on this. FBI and Homeland Security are doing what they can to check out the drone sightings, and many people are looking for the head of the Department of Homeland Security head because it's just one more thing to kind of gripe and chew on his head for about. Chew on him about, if you will. No national security threats, no foreign involvement, nothing really weird about it. In fact, most of the sightings have been sort of identified as actually lawfully operating aircraft, like real planes that just lit up in odd ways for people seeing them thinking, oh, they're drones hovering over our heads. So there is no answers to this. More questions, many more questions. And unfortunately, not too many more answers to get to these things. Quick stop by in Fiji on a similar story to what we had a few months back where people died from alcohol poisoning. This isn't a death. These are 7 tourists hospitalized, but it's still pretty dire with the situation. Suspected of being poisoned by Pina Coladas. And no jokes about getting caught in the rain. This is serious. 7 tourists, 4 Australians and 1 American were hospitalized in Fiji after consuming Pina Coladas at the Warwick Resort on the Coral Coast. The affected individuals were aged between 18 and 56, so targeting seems like it's not really there. They exhibited severe symptoms, and this is where it gets really, really gross: seizures, foaming at the mouth, and bleeding from the ears. The Fijian authorities are investigating the incident and with suspicions of methanol poisoning. Toxicology reports are going to be out in a few days, so we'll know more about what happened in this case. But right now, the Deputy Prime Minister of Fiji has noted that the resort is busy, was busy that evening, is still busy, still working, still serving folks, and that many pina coladas were served. Only 7 people were affected by this issue. So they're observing that it was something other than deliberate poisoning, but they have to look into it. Only 7 out of many people that were at the bar that night got sick from this particular incident. So it has to be seen what's going on. It does raise concerns about methanol poisoning cases, the one in Laos, which resulted in fatalities months back. But right now, this is an isolated incident. This is not something that's something that's happened frequently. So the Australian government has, of course, updated travel authorities to Fiji, saying be wary of alcohol beverages that can be spiked and methanol poisoning. Other than that, Fiji's still the place to be at the moment. So keep an eye out on your drinks if you happen to be in Fiji. Very serious things. I don't want to make light of this story. Very serious what we're talking about here. But this is something in the world right now that's just sort of upside down, topsy-turvy. Something like this can really throw things off, and it has. Quick break from the news. 4 stories down, 4 stories in. And we want to allow you a chance to help us out in the growing of our Conversation Project stuff. Like, share, and subscribe to the work we're doing. If you like it, I know I'm doing good stories. I know I'm doing good work. And the algorithm thinks that it looks like a good enough thing to share up to people, so it'll send it to more folks. And of course, if more people see likes on it, because it's social proof, they may actually watch it, enjoy it, and like it themselves. If you know people who love this type of content, share it directly with them so they can get into it directly. And if you're not subscribed to what we do every single day, we do stuff every single day, but stuff like this, a bit bigger, subscribe in whatever actual feed you want. Or subscribe to something. When you go to our website, you'll see where we are all over the place. Subscribe to something that may be different. We're on TikTok. We're on Threads, which we don't talk about as much as well, but we do videos on TikTok daily. This live version of the long form version, X, Facebook, and YouTube. Find us where it's best for you. Subscribe so you can make sure you don't miss out on whatever happens, either the live stuff or the pieced out stuff throughout the day. Egg prices are spiking as U.S. grocery costs climb just in time for the holidays. We're approaching holiday season and people buy up a lot of stuff preparing for holiday meals and for large gatherings, but consumers are facing rising grocery costs. Egg prices are getting a really big surge. We've talked about the $7 eggs. If you're buying $7 eggs, you're actually just buying $7 eggs. The actual price of eggs is up, not quite $7. In November, grocery prices increased by 0.4% with a 2.4 rise over the past year. Eggs in particular went up 8.2% in November, one of the highest spikes in 2 decades in this month. Their average cost for a dozen large grade eggs, regular eggs, $3.65. Once again, not $7, but it is a 71% increase from last year. And the surge is largely attributed to the bird flu outbreak because there's less hens to lay eggs, less in supply, demand goes up, and all that great stuff. It is just basic economics, although we are dealing with a bit of, science and health in the process. But beyond eggs, other grocery items are up as well. Beef up by 0.5% in November, bread by 0.3%. Overall food prices, as we said, 2.4 over the year, and it's outpacing general inflation, which is a rate of 2.7%. Many stores and retailers are doing their best to cut costs so they can lower prices for you out there and lowering their margins on purpose. It's not necessarily because they love you, but they need you to buy the stuff. And so if that means taking a few pennies off what the actual retail price should be to get you into the store so they can save a little bit, it's one of those things where record prices are always made, even though people are always seemingly losing money. I understand it fundamentally as an economist, as a person who does business, but as just a general shopper who buys those $3.65 eggs fairly often, I don't understand how we are where we are. You can hold two ideas in your head at the same time. We're going to put this on the heart of Lindsey Graham because he says Pete Hegseth was going to release the accuser of the NDA. He says this. No real updates from Hegseth himself, at least nothing we found online. But Senator Lindsey Graham on the Sunday show, or walking in the hallway someplace that got taped for a Sunday show, announced that Pete Hegseth is going to release the woman from the 2007 sexual misconduct allegation from her NDA. Of course, Hegseth is running for, if you can say that, Secretary of Defense. He's been nominated, and he's right now trying to glad hand himself his way to get those votes. But one of the things that are in question are this incident that we know from, because a friend of a friend basically told us about it, is out there. And because, as Graham is saying, we don't want to hear anything from anonymous sources. We want the real deal. We're going to see if Hegseth will let this lady out of this NDA so she can explain it and we can get something better for this. Now, Hegseth's already dealing with some issues that of his background and some things in the back past, including some statements that basically saying, in the most alcoholic statement going on, I'm not alcoholic, but if you give me the job, I'll stop drinking, which is kind of what alcoholics sort of say. We will see what happens. There was a civil lawsuit that was settled with the NDA after the alleged incident at a hotel where a woman claimed to be sexually assaulted by Pete Hegseth. Hegseth said she came to his room willingly and was the aggressor. And he basically paid the fee, for the NDA to stop the bleeding from what was going on at Fox News at the time, because basically Me Too was basically getting people fired. And so he basically paid this thing to go away so he'd keep his job. Now getting his new job as Secretary of Defense is all based on letting her come back to say what she didn't say back in 2017. We'll see what happens. Cuba has issues. Right now, it's a fuel crisis, and gas pumps are running dry across the country, and this is not a great deal for the island nation. Severe fuel crisis leading to widespread shortages at gas stations and exacerbating the nation's ongoing energy challenges. It's either the power grid's out, or they're hit by a storm and have issues, or right now, not enough gas for the residents. Many stations have been closed for days, resulting in long queues for motorists awaiting their fuel deliveries. The crisis is intensified due to fuel shipments from key allies. Venezuela's deliveries to Cuba have decreased from 60,000 barrels per day to 36,000 barrels a day in the first 9 months of 2024. Mexico has increased its shipments by approximately 200,000 barrels a day, but it hasn't been sufficient to offset this shortfall. It's still not making it up. In response, the Cuban government introduced dollar-priced fuel at non-subsidized rates to stabilize supply. However, even these pricier dollar gas stations are experiencing shortages, leading to long lines and residents seeking fuel. supply and demand, just like the eggs earlier. You make it cost more, so people are buying less gas. So it should help you regulate it. But the problem is still not enough gas going forward. Cuba, pray for Cuba. They have many issues. This is an emergency with the government for energy going forward, as public services and schools are trying to conserve energy as best as possible so they can stay open. Situation keeps unfolding. We'll let you know, and you keep talking about this one if this is conversational for you. And our teaser story for yesterday, and we'll explain what that is literally after we finish the story, was about beer. Michelob Ultra overtaking Bud Light in America's favorite draft beer. Now we're showing the picture of bottled beer, or presented beer that's pre-made, pre-packaged, as a ways to just kind of give you the real full number of this going on. Bud Light was the top beer in bottles and cans until Modelo came in, or technically until Bud Light did a collaboration with a transgender influencer, and then people just started saying that's not American, that's kind of weird, we're drinking Modelo, which is a Mexican beer. So on tap, Bud Light has not found a way to get better yet either. So Ultra, which is kind of a, I'll say more of a bougie beer, if you will, is now the most popular draft beer in places. This is from data from Draft Lines Technologies. They monitor over 1 million tap lines nationwide. It marks a shift for the end of Bud Light's dominance for long decades of being the draft beer king, and now other markets are coming in to get in there. Michelob Ultra's marketing strategy was emphasizing an active and healthy lifestyle for conscious people who are really into that demographic. It's lower calorie, it's a lighter beer. It's something for people who want to get that great taste of beer and have fun, but also don't want the calories, don't want the heaviness, don't want the stigma, if you will, of a heavier beer, even though Bud Light is, of course, a light beer. This is the second most popular draft beer, which is also the second most popular canned beer. Anheuser-Busch is dealing with a whole lot of issues, and this is coming from one incident with an influencer that's gone extremely crazy. You can love or hate that actual incident. You can love or hate the people who did the stuff. You can talk about Kid Rock shooting the beers in his yard and drinking the beers 3 weeks later on tour. These things are not based on rational thought processes. They're based on just people being people. And us people are proving how people we are. Our teaser story for today is a very interesting story that's an extension of the long-going saga, the soap opera that has been the life of Hana Kobayashi. She's actually back in the States after being reported missing in Los Angeles. She's actually back in the States, in the borders, in our nations. And the really sort of incident thing that's got people scratching heads is the Kobayashi family wants some privacy. After they went all out trying to find her and being loud about it, now they want some privacy. We don't have answers to any of the questions that were raised in the process, but she's home, or she's back in the States. We can talk about the story if you want to talk about it, and it's very simple to make that happen. You go to our feeds. We have feeds or links on Facebook, links on X, links on Threads that allow us to see what you guys are wanting to engage in. Just like we did the story for Mick Ultra, and we put that yesterday's tease, and you guys responded to it, so it made it into the queue. That's what we have for today. Facebook.com/This is the Conversation Project, and X.com/TH_conversation. For Threads, it's threads.net/@This is Conversation. It doesn't get as much love, and we don't get the real stats from it, but we check it out and see how things are responding there as well. What you do is when you go to those feeds to check out what other people are talking about, other things, like, love, hate, share, engage in the stories as they go down into the feed. And the higher we get an engagement, the higher the number is of people who actually press a little button and give us something to chat about, gives a chance to chat about it. Tuesday through Friday, we get about 30 stories within a day. We take the top half, 15, 16 stories, and pull them out and take a look. We'll pick 8 of those to present to you here in the actual program. We give you 10 stories on Monday because we have 90 stories of the weekend, so we'll give you some bonus stories there. Is this story on Hana Kobayashi coming back to the States and now wanting some privacy going to be the thing we're talking about, which is kind of ironic, if you will? You let me know by just engaging in the stories. So Blinkist is our sponsor for today. The Blinkist app will allow you to do something that you say you can't do, so it eliminates that excuse. And it's great as a present for Christmas. Reading books. If you have a friend who is like, I can't read enough books because I just don't have the time, I don't have the energy, or if you yourself is a person who has excuses about not getting more knowledge, it's amazing the stats that they have about, how many people don't read books at the high school. Here's a way to limit that excuse. If you think it takes too long to read a book, Blinkist has you covered. You can read over 6,500 different bestsellers, and they're growing the list by far every single day, literally in about 15 minutes in most cases. They condense books into bite-sized summaries. They call them blinks that are perfect for people who are just need the quick information, need to go with it. It's for a commute, for taking a break, just winding down. You can listen to these blinks as they're recorded as audios, or you can read them just like a quick book going forward. And the really big kicker is, if you like the book in blink form, there's a link directly to buy the full book in either audiobook form or just regular book form if you want to. You can find a book that you know you need more info on and get it directly. I do that very often where I go through Blinkist. I go to Blinkist, I listen to a book in the morning and a book in the evening, and then maybe once every 2 weeks I'll find something I'll add to my ad list and just buy it and pick it up on Audible or on Kindle to read in full detailed. So my lack of time to read turns into more reading, if you will. You can get great books, great things that are nonfiction, all the genres you're looking for. And Blinkist has a 60% discount on the app for premium service if you use our link. Our link is this. It's theconversationproject.com/Blinkist. This is theconversationproject.com/Blinkist. And check it out today. We get a small commission for you adding the app into your actual usage. And we want you to actually use this app because it's very good. Oh, Blinkist Spaces. We'll talk about Blinkist Spaces tomorrow if you're here tomorrow. Blinkist Spaces allow you to share these books with other people. We'll go deeper in detail on that one tomorrow. So more people can share the gift of Blinkist on one subscription. So check it out. This is conversationproject.com/Blinkist for more for you in the way of books. Yay, books. The Conversation Project lives online at this is theconversationproject.com. That's our website, our home, where many calls to actions can be had. We ask you to check out our sponsors page, check out our partnerships page, check out past episodes, and check out other places you can follow and subscribe and find us there. That's simple. Now, if any of those things don't really fall in line to you, I'm going to ask you two things. One, just go to your Facebook or your X and follow us and keep an eye on what we have going on. So as you check out X on the day, because yes, you know, you still check it out. It's guilty, I know. Or Facebook to see what your friends are up to. We'll pop up, see what's going on, engage in news stories, read them, please, so you get more information. We do our best to scour the internet and aggregate from various places so that we don't just get you the main headlines that, you know, overtake things, like the Wisconsin school shooting overtook many news coverages starting when it happened in the early mornings of that happening, and to things that you may have missed that may be interesting. Some of them you may have wished you didn't hear. Sometimes news turns out like that, but we try to give you the best we can in a wide variety of news, and we need your help to pick it out. So follow us on our feeds and engage in it so we know what stories to talk about, and let me know more about what I can do to do better or less worse at our email address. The email address is theconversationinbox@gmail.com. The Tuesday, December 17th edition is done for the day. For those of you who got this far, you can obviously tell we're not using the live thing. And from what you can probably tell, because it's coming out so late, it took a couple of takes to get in this because I'm just not in the headspace, unfortunately. But we're going to test this for a little bit longer to see if doing it for a tape to live recording will help out with the glitches. I know it will because we're having issues with the internet transmitting it directly. So although we can still have those issues as it transmits the video, we're going to see if having a straight video uploaded will be easier to transmit than it is the live feed from here, because internet access is a little wonky here in the morning in Arkansas for some reason. Probably because it's Arkansas. Love you. Mean it. Let us know how well we're doing or not so well we're doing. We'll do this again in some fashion tomorrow.